Hi Morgan, this is parabolas in vertex form, which is this equation you want to make it look like so that you can find the h and the k as the vertex of the parabola, and a tells you whether it's opening up or down. So your first problem was y equals x squared plus 8x plus 14, and the first thing I always do is move the 14 out of the way so you have a little space next to the x's so that you can complete the square there. So the first step is to take half of your 8 goes in the parentheses with the squared. So half of this number goes in the parentheses. And then if you actually FOILed this thing out, then you would be getting your perfect square trinomial. So if you took this and FOILed x plus 4 times x plus 4, the last term would be 4 times 4, which is that number squared in the blank. So now that you have made this trinomial into a perfect square, that would factor into x plus 4 quantity squared. You just changed your equation by adding 16. You don't want to change the value of your function, so you have to take that 16 back off. So over here on the right side, now you have 14 minus 16 is now negative 2. And now your vertex for this parabola is these two terms inside your parentheses and outside the h and the k. So your vertex of your parabola is now, this tells you it went shifted 4 to the left, and this negative 2 means it shifted 2 down. So if you're graphing this, you would go 4 to the left and 2 down is the vertex point, and then you were supposed to find 2 other points and reflect them. A really fast point to find is the one in your original equation at the end is going to be your y-intercept. So up here at 14 hits the y-axis. That's going 4 units to the left to get to your vertex. That's the axis of symmetry. Go 4 more units to the left and you would be at negative 8, 14 would be another point. And of course you can plug in a number and find another value that you can plug in for another point that you can reflect. All right, the second one you had was taking, I don't know if I can get my, let me just do another page. Not that. Huh. Okay, Jessica's laughing at me. Okay, here's another page. If we do your second problem, I'm going to start with one that's a little easier so that you can kind of see how it works before I go into those nasty numbers that was on your test. So I'm going to just start with 2 and 12 and 17 in your equation. So we're working a nice, neat, pretty number. So the first thing you want to do on this one, again, you're going to move your 7 out of your way. I'm sorry, 17 out of your way. So you have this little space, but when you complete the square, you don't want to have that 2 in the way, so you want to pull that out front out of both of the terms that have the x's. So if you distribute this back in, 2 times x squared is 2x squared, and 2 times 6x is 12x. So it's still the same value of your equation, but the 2 is separated out front. So now leave that 2 out front. And now do your completing the square method. So this trinomial you want to break down into a perfect square. So the process is half of the 6 goes inside the parentheses, square that number, fills in the blank. Now you didn't add 9 to the equation, you actually added 2 times 9 to the equation. So you got to take that back off. So 2 times 9 is 18, we got to pull that back off of the equation so you don't change the value. And then 17 minus 18 is negative 1. So now you see the vertex on this one is now, this 3 says it shifts left 3, and the minus 1 means it goes down 1. And this 2 out front is telling you your parabola is skinnier. All right, now the one that you had on your test was a little bit nastier because it had fractions, but it's still the same idea. So if you have 3/5 x squared plus 30x plus 382. Okay, so this 3/5 has to come out front, just like we pulled out this 2 over on this one. So we're going to pull that 3/5 out front of both of these terms with the x's. So you're dividing it out. So this 30 needs to be divided by the 3/5. So off to the side, if we do 30 divided by 3/5, that's the same thing as 30 times the reciprocal, which is 5/3. And then if you reduce 30 and 3, both can be reduced by 3. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 30 10 times, and then you can multiply 5 times 10 is 50. That number is now the number inside this equation after you pulled out your 3/5. And then this 382 is sitting out on the end. So if you want to check, you can do 3/5 times x squared is this first term, and 3/5 times 50x is the second term. So you didn't change the value any, you just pulled the 3/5 out front. So that 3/5 is just going to be sitting there out front unused, and we're going to complete the square with this trinomial. So you're going to take half of the 50 and put it inside the parentheses, and then square that 25 goes in the blank for your perfect square, which is 625. Now, you just changed your equation again. You didn't add 625 to your equation. Remember, this 3/5 out front is multiplied to the 625. So you can even do that off to the side again. You can take 3/5 times 625 and do that multiplication, and that number is 375. So now that you just added 375 to your equation, you have to take it back off again to not change the value of your equation. So 382 minus 375 is now 7 on the outside of your equation. So this parabola says that your vertex is now shifting 25 to the left and 7 up. And then this 3/5 makes it a little bit wider of a graph. And that's it. If you need more help, just let me know.